everybody, thank you very much for tuning in. My name is Stacy Krugger. You're on board for a brand new podcast. Many of you guys have heard my prior ones. The Stacy Krugger podcast, which, usually consists of actual issues, which we talk about. Then, of course, there's the Odd Bunch podcast, which is my satirical, comedic podcast. Well, this one, I don't know what the hell we're going to call this one, frankly. I don't know what's going to happen to it. Pretty much this one's going to be nothing else but our music podcast. I talk about music enough on my stream, which can be found at twitch.tv/Stacy Krugger. I figure I might as well bring it to the actual podcast realm. And helping me do that is my buddy here, Blapboy, as we like to call him. Blap, how the fuck you doing tonight, my man?
Oh, same old, man.
I feel you. Well, now, Blap decided the other day that we should start this podcast, and it all stemmed actually from an argument we got into on during my stream on Twitch, which I find you to be a flaming fucking idiot on this, okay? Now, folks, let me bring you into why I find him to be a flaming fucking idiot.
Oh, I am, but so are you, so it's all good.
Well, the difference is I get paid to be an idiot. You just get on stage and scream. But we'll get into that in a minute here. So,
hey, my streaming's better than yours anyway, so.
Excuse me, motherfucker?
Anyway.
I seem to think mine are quite,
You're feeling inadequate, shut up.
I'm not adequate at all. I find mine quite adequate, frankly. It's not like...
Get on about Lou Reed, come on.
Well, we're talking on stream, we're having a discussion about music. We brought up different bands, different genres of music. Some people say that some had no effect on music whatsoever. I feel every style of music out there had an effect on music. Blap here had a certain opinion, which actually brought up this podcast. You, in your infinite wisdom, for some reason, believe that Lou Reed had no effect on music to this day.
I didn't say that.
That was your exact words. You said that he was a scrub and he had no effect on music.
I said he had no effect on me.
You said
I said he is the master of the 3 chords, that's it.
It was so much more than a 3 chord. Well, dude, honestly, to this day, I guarantee you, the music that we have today, the way metal is written, the way grunge came about, every little thing in music today. Hold on. Every little thing in music today came from Lou Reed, and rock and roll at very least. If there wasn't a Lou Reed out there, there wouldn't have been rock and roll as we know it today.
Well, without Little Richard, Johnny Cash, and Elvis working together to make rock and roll, there wouldn't be Lou Reed. That's pretty true. I'm going to go Johnny Cash. Very true,
very true. I would say a little more Johnny than Little Richie, but, you know...
But without Little Richard, there still wouldn't have been the complete circle there. You know that.
Yes, true. I'll admit that Little Richard definitely had a huge inspiration on rock and roll since he is one of the true beginnings of rock and roll movement. But I wouldn't go as far to say that Lou Reed was... Well, he may have been influenced by Little Richard. I don't know this. Unfortunately, I never had a chance to speak to the man before he died. But I have a hard time believing the man was... You know, that Little Richard himself, the style of music he was, would inspire Lou Reed, who basically fought back against anything that was huge in that time period. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I give you that.
I mean, I remember there being an interview when they sat down with him asking, well, how do you feel about this band? Oh, they're great, yeah. Really? Well, what do you think about this band? They're naming off popular acts. How about the Bee Gees? Oh, the Bee Gees are great. What? What the fuck are you asking me for these motherfuckers for? Are you kidding me? You're asking me, why the fuck are you asking me about these guys? These people had no relevance on music to me. So that's why I have a hard time if he wasn't looking at acts such as Bee Gees and a lot more of the popular acts and a lot more of the bright, shiny acts, might we say. Why would he look at Little Richard and go, yeah, that guy, that's my style, you know? I can see Johnny because he's more of a darker realm, but Little Richard?
Well, I mean, think about it. Elvis, Richard, and Johnny all brought about the exact attitude and the exact basis of rock and roll of what it would become and what Johnny would eventually transfer into. Because Elvis was never rock. He never had a rock element to him. Neither did Richard. But it took those two getting it. It's kind of like the Beatles to Zeppelin, Zeppelin to Sabbath. You know.
I don't know about that. The fact that Elvis wasn't rock, didn't have a rock element. Listen to Blue Suede Shoes and tell me there's not a little bit of a rock element in there.
Yeah, but then again, people call Led Zeppelin heavy metal and half their crap's acoustic, so that's the reason why they're called hard rock and not heavy metal to me. So, I mean, you can always have the elements.
I would say Zepp's more blues to me.
I know, right? But I'm just going as a generalization here.
I'll give you that.
People would say. You know what I mean? Now,
if you want to talk about the first heavy metal band, I wouldn't say it was Zepp or Ozzy or Black Sabbath at all. I would say it was actually Blue Cheer. Now, do you know who Blue Cheer is?
Yeah, they Rush, dude. But have you listened to any Rush interviews about them?
Any what? I'm sorry.
Yeah, Rush. They would talk about them and be like, it was louder than an atomic bomb going off next to your ear. And I was like, yeah, I can believe it. But it's like Blue Cheer. I don't think that they invented heavy metal. That's just personal. That's a personal opinion of I don't think that happened, but I do see the element in them. And I think, honestly, if you're going to pinpoint the moment in metal where it was born, like truly born, the term heavy metal came from Steppenwolf by far. But they were heavy metal. But that's where heavy metal, quote unquote, was born. But Steppenwolf was Born to Be Wild.
Really?
You know that. Well, yeah, heavy metal thunder.
I suppose, yeah, but at the same time though, Blue Cheer came before them, so maybe the term heavy metal is born with Steppenwolf, but the true element of what heavy metal is to this day, which is pushing your amp to the absolute fullest, blowing your eardrums out, and making a big, rompous, huge sound, it would be Blue Cheer by far, because they're the first ones to kind of go, okay, our amp has less limitations, let's push a little past that and see if we can blow the fucking thing out during one song, you know?
Well, yeah, but then you also have to remember that the Beatles were probably doing that with their amps and everything before that. You know that, and it's like, as soon as you, but I think Sabbath, with it wasn't with Wicked World. Wicked World was the first song written on that record, but if you listen to Black Sabbath, White Sabbath, literally, that has everything metal has ever become in that song, literally. And I think that's where metal was born. And I mean, I understand where you're going, but I mean, come on, that's bow, bow, bow.
Well, using a lot of dissonant chords or using what they call as the devil's note, which is diminished fifth, if I remember correctly. Yeah, I suppose Sabbath did invent the stereotypical sound that inspired so many bands that came after it.
Well, I mean, every single band after Sabbath was influenced by them, period. I don't care. All of them.
I'll admit that. Like, even I don't like Sabbath as much as I like Ozzy, but that's a personal thing. Of course, I like Dio 10 times more than I like Ozzy, so there you go.
Well, I mean, Dio is technically a better singer, but I like Ozzy more than Dio, and that's just, it's just personal taste at that point between me and you. And I think that's the reason why our conversations are very intellectual, because, we do have these different varying opinions, but, when we have that going on, at least we have our valid points. Except for you don't have a valid point on Lou Reed, because, according to you, he was playing 4 chords and playing jazz, so there you go.
Okay, no. What I said about the 4-chord progression is, you point out that he was nothing more than a 3-chord hack. That's it. So
that's what he is.
No, he's not just a 3-chord hack. What his exact quote about the 3 chords is this: 1 chord, it's perfect. 2 chords are okay. 3 chords, all right, that's a bit much. 4 chords, now you're playing jazz. It was more of a sarcastic, off-the-cuff kind of remark, basically saying you don't have to be complex. And that's what helped metal stay the way it was, and helped rock and roll stay the way it was, that it is today even. And I would say it also, Lou Reed, harkening back to the day he was, and also as he progressed through the years, helped metal and rock and roll itself come back to where it was meant to be. And he helped battle through the fucking 80s with hair metal. You know what I mean? When it was all about flash, it was all about playing as many notes as possible, instead of just going, how about we let the music speak for itself instead of, having to show off.
What's
that?
Yeah, I mean, well, look at the 80s. I mean, when you look at the 80s, it's all about the hair, the tight pants. And, I mean, it's like either in the 80s you dress up as masculine as you can trying to make guys look at you and go cool, or you're trying to dress up as much of a girl as you can to be like, I'm so masculine. And I honestly think a doctor needs to look into what the fuck happened in the 80s.
Alcohol. Lots of alcohol and lots of drugs. But, well, it all began with, if I remember correctly, wasn't poison the one that really pushed forward the whole feminine image? Because I remember, like, fucking my buddies back in high school even, like, before they really found out who Poison were, well, not high school, excuse me, middle school, going, I want to fuck the chicks from Poison. And then, of course, then they went to the dads and found out who Poison really was. But if I remember correctly, wasn't it Poison who started off the whole feminine look? Because remember their first album where they looked like full-on women?
Well, I mean, in '79, look at Cinderella.
Okay,
well, I mean, I liked Cinderella, you know. They were some badass dudes.
Let's see, the problem is with me, I worked in radio for so many years and, you know, worked in classic rock and shit like that. So I've heard Cinderella so many times when I hear the name of the band, I kind of get a little twitch. Go, God, oh. It's like fucking somebody with nails across a chalkboard.
Stacy Krugger.
You know, when they hear Stacy Krugger, they think date rape. They hear Stacy.
No, dude, it's not as bad as showing these people on your broadcast a picture of you without the beard. Oh my God.
Well, this is the one. There's a podcast. People know what the fuck I look like. Imagine, if you will, the Viking, long hair like
beard.
I would say, well, long hair like a Viking, with a big ass beard like the Unabomber rapist.
Beard.
Yeah, just a woodsman beard. You know, a wild woodsman beard. Well, then you shave that off but keep the long hair. And I look like I lost probably close to 20 years. I look like I was, what, 15?
Like 5.
God damn. I shaved, ooh gaga. But, that's what I felt like, man. I was just like, what the hell's wrong with me? I look like an overgrown fucking baby. Once again, folks, you are tuned in to the brand new podcast that me and my buddy Blapboy here are bringing about. We're going to be talking about music every single... with all hope, we'll be doing this at least once a week. It's going to be about music every single time. We're going to vary. We're going to wander. We're going to have fun. But is that kind of the point of podcasting? Is that kind of the point of a conversation with your best buddy?
That kind of is.
Yeah, I suppose so, but at very least, you can always make your friend look like a fool when you talk about Lou Reed. Now, moving back to Lou Reed, goddammit. Man, stop making me wander, you motherfucker.
Well, no, I mean, there is something I've been wanting to really touch on past Lou Reed, after we get done with Lou Reed.
Yeah, go ahead, buddy.
And,
well, after we're done? Okay.
Oh, yeah. I mean, well, I can touch on it now, and then we can go back to arguing about Lou Reed later. I don't give a shit either way.
Go ahead, brother. Go for it.
All right. Well, my point is right now, people, you know, you have to be really, really, really careful of how I'm going to say this. So I'm just going to say it and not give a fuck. So, fuck it. You have to realize with influences are there no matter what, and I do realize that, and I do respect all influences that influence my influences that influenced me. Wow, that's a mouthful. And you don't have to like any band, and you guys don't really have to give a shit about me being here talking to Stacy. I don't give a fuck, but you just have to respect the fact that there is many, many people that influence the way many people think and the way many people do things, and I do honestly respect any person in music that came before me, because that means that they're helping me in some way, and I don't care, you know, I was there before Justin Bieber, thank fucking God. Listen to You Call That a Knife. Listen to that. And listen to that very last solo before the last chorus. Tell me that is not B.B. King, just with distortion. That is B.B. King all the way, dude.
I suppose so. I could see where you get the influence. You get the element of B.B. King in there. I absolutely do understand that. In case somebody's wondering what the hell he's talking about, he's talking about his band Theory on X. Can you get your music from, my man?
Well, you can fucking go on Reverb Nation, type in Therion X, THIRION space X. Go to Facebook, give us a like. I don't think we're on Twitter. I don't know. I have to ask other people about that shit. I'm not the one in charge of our media.
Like, I don't know. I think we tweet. What the fuck is tweeting? I don't know. It's something. Jesus Christ. Are we on that fucking tweeter thing?
I don't fucking know. Dude, I'm more about the music with this particular group and band, and this whole little thing, dude. And it's that's just how it is, And personally, I mean, Shane's doing the face fuck shit, so.
I do understand where you're saying that you respect every influence, because you're absolutely right. No matter what you've heard in the past, everything out there influences you in some way, no matter what. And that's why I kind of feel, whether you like it or not, the man you despise the most probably influenced you. Because isn't there elements of drawling in your music, droning notes in your music?
Well, yeah, but you have to realize Lou Reed is not the person I hate the most. I was more or less giving you shit, and we just had a broadcast over it.
I understand. Well, Lou Reed is the man who really patented and really enterprise on the droning notes, and really proved that you could have an entire song on one or two chords of just straight droning that. That's it,
Well, I mean, you go back and you're going to listen to, Megatherium. Go back and listen to that.
Mm-hmm.
And you wonder where the little speed element came with being able to drone notes. That's where you get it, Megatherium, right there, all the way, 100%. And then Celtic Frost, then from there Exodus, so on and so forth.
Very true. Very true.
And then it's like, well, the person, I didn't really get into being able to go at all until I started really listening to, like, Dying Fetus. I started really listening to Dying Fetus, and I really tried to become a Gallagher, and I'm not a Gallagher, but, and then I started not only listening to Pantera, I started watching the videos. And if you listen to the Moscow version of Domination, that is where I got that's what made me go, holy fuck. And then it's like, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, dude, I'm so tired, but the singer from Faith No More. I mean, but yeah, I mean, you listen to all that shit, and it's like, you can hear it all in there. Sabbath. I mean, Sabbath is definitely...
Which version of the 5 different versions of Sabbath out there? Are we talking Ozzy Sabbath? Are we talking on Dio Sabbath? Which one of the many?
Well, fucking the original Sabbath.
Okay. I said, wasn't it a total of, if I remember correctly, 4 different lead singers for Sabbath?
No, there was 15, but that's a different story.
They just didn't stop. They never knew when to stop.
No, Tony didn't know where to stop. Fuck off.
Hey, always like, I need to feed my kids, man. Bring another one in here. We'll play bars. Fuck it.
Gillen left again. Fuck it. I need a guy for like another 4 gigs.
All right, so we discussed what influence, the influences come from every which way. You discussed that Lou Reed hadn't influenced you at all, which is a blatant lie. But what are your main influences that you could call upon besides, you said Phil from Pantera, Faith No More. What other, is there anybody else who truly inspired you besides them?
Are we excluding Sabbath from this?
You can include Sabbath if you want, buddy, but just name which version of Sabbath.
Well, the Ozzy era Sabbath always.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Dio was great, but I don't know. His Sabbath is good Sabbath, but it's not Sabbath. I'm more of a purist when it came to Sabbath.
Yeah, you're not the only person.
At least I'm not a total asshole about it. Fuck you, Stacy. I'm right. Anyway, Pete Steele from Typo and Carnivore.
Mm-hmm.
You can definitely hear that. Fuck. Believe it or not, you might get a laugh out of this one, but almost in a way, the presence, the way he was able to get on a stage and just kind of stand there and take the crowd, Vince Neil. I don't like Motley Crue, but if you look at how he can stand in front of a crowd and he can go, and then everyone reacts, dude, that's an awesome stage presence.
Are you fucking drunk? I remember going to see that schmuck of a human being, going to see him live, playing with Aerosmith. This man couldn't sing half his lyrics. Tried talking
I didn't say he could sing. I just said stage presence, motherfucker.
Wait. He tried talking to the crowd. The crowd is either blank or booing him. Fucking Tommy Lee had to jump off his kit, come out and pass Jägermeister around the crowd to get everybody fucking happy. They started playing again. Vince was just, looked like he was sweating cheese sandwiches. And just kind of looking like just a ball of lard on stage. And just lethargic and boring.
Well,
by the time he got off stage, everybody was cheering that they were done.
Well, how about you just edit out Vince Neil then?
Fuck you. No, fuck you, man. We're debating this. Are you... How him crooking his head just to kind of get the crowd going? Like, do you mean like the shit he could take from the crowd or what?
Huh?
Are you talking about as in the guff he could take from the crowd? Like when they would boo at him and throw shit at him? Like, is that what you're talking about? What?
The crowd is not really what I'm getting at with this person. I'm like, if you watch him get on stage, and where he stands on that stage, that is his stage right there. He owns that particular part of the stage is what I'm getting at. You know what I mean?
I suppose, kind of look at that as in Steel Panther, who kind of took that, monopolized on it in a way. He kind of took the old Vince Neil persona then in a way and monopolized on it and made it actually good again.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm getting at. I'm not making it to where it's like, you know, his singing or nothing. I'm talking more like he made that particular little area his presence. And, I mean, if you look at my videos, almost in a way, I mean, you can see the Steel Panther to the Pantera, and that's where it's more fill and shit when I do my stage presence. But if you work backwards, you can almost see where they almost started with it. And I mean, I'm not trying to say Motley Crue is good or nothing. That's not in any sense. I'm just saying.
They were a very good powerhouse in music.
Feel good, but
they were a good powerhouse in music. I'm never really a fan of them, except for back when I first started learning about music. Like, well, not music, but metal. Like, my stepdad started me off with Megadeth, started me off with Metallica, stuff like that. I circulated more towards the Megadeth. But then they showed me Motley Crue. I'm like, okay, this is interesting. I listened to it for about a month. I'm like, all right, man, I'm ready to go back to Megadeth. Can I have that album back? You know, can I get So Far, So Good, So What back, man? I like that better, you know. But I'll definitely say they did something for music.
Yeah, it's like, I'm just saying in terms of trying to be performers, they were really good at trying to be actual performers, like in terms of a stage show, not anything really past that. You have to understand that difference I'm getting at. And then it's like, I can say Till Lindemann from Rammstein is another huge influence because I try to, you know, tell a story with what I'm doing. I try to. Like, look at Brain in a Jar. If you look at how I move around that stage during Brain, because you've seen the video, I don't, you know, I'm trying to make it to where it's, I don't know, you can just tell. You know, you can just obviously tell when, you know, you try to get all these people, you know, kind of conversing in your head, and, you know, you never ever think about, you know, what your influences are while you're on that stage. You know, you just do it because it's there. They influence you, and it's in your brain. It's ingrained. It's muscle memory down to your fucking core.
Well, I can understand the muscle memory. What's the word I'm looking for here? God damn it. I almost said acronym. Yeah, that makes total fucking sense. God damn it, Stacy, you schmuck. Analogy. God damn it, Stacy. But I could see that analogy because I remember being on stage and I could see many of my influences coming out in both how I perform and how I played coming out in just muscle memory. But it's just, I never looked at Rammstein and thought of him telling a story with his body movements.
Well, if you know the lyric translation and then you looked at what he's doing, yeah, he does kind of tell a story. You know what I mean?
Like, I've never bothered because I'm too goddamn lazy to be perfectly blunt. I have better things to do, like make money.
Well, I mean, did you ever see any their live shows? I mean, Rammstein, the song. Well, that particular song's about the Air Force that caught on fire, blew up, or whatever it did. It's not here anymore. It went bye really fucking quick.
It went bye really fucking. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Blap.
Yeah, what up? Anyway. And, he comes out with these fire gauntlets, blowing them in the air and all this other crazy shit, and it's like, he's telling the story of, how it burned down, went away, but what do I know?
I feel
I claim to know nothing. I just claim to have Stacy actually like me, kind of, somewhat, maybe. No, he thinks I'm a douchebag.
Jesus Christ almighty. But, all right, man, I think this is probably where we should call it a close because I have a whole shit ton of stuff to do. I know I need to get ready for my show. But, Blap, dude, seriously, thank you very, very much for hanging out, boss.
The one other thing, really
Yes.
quick before you close it.
Yeah.
Remember, support your fucking locals. Get out there, spend money, because without locals, there's no nationals. Without no nationals, you don't have fucking music you like, guys. So, get out there, do it. Think about this. You get to go see 4 or 5 bands, $10 versus going and seeing a big band that you only like one song by and you spent $50 on. So,
Well, thank you all very much for tuning in. Don't forget, you can check out Blap's band, Therion X. Go find him on Facebook and Reverb Nation. You can also find me at twitch.tv/Stacy Krugger.